In this video, I want to talk to you about the habit that not only healed my heartbreak, but it literally saved my life. So I want to tell you the story behind how it all started and how I got to go from struggling, from being in pain, not only emotional pain, but also physical pain, to being in a place where I am today, like feeling great about life. And of course, it doesn't mean that there are no problems or challenges in life. There are, always be, but we can respond to it from a much better feeling space. So what happened is that years ago, to be exact, early 2019, or actually late 2018, I was going through a very difficult time. Basically, everything in my life was falling apart. My work was not doing well. Back then, I was on my own in another country, actually in Kiev, Ukraine. I was doing a master's internship. Things seemed to be working. Not only my professional life, because I was facing through so many challenges. I didn't feel excited about anything that I was doing in my life. I did not have any of the support system. I didn't have my friends, my family around me. People were speaking a different language. So it was hard for me to blend in. Of course, I did my best to do that, but still it was emotionally difficult, and it brought so many insecurities to the surface. What really made things worse than ever are two things. The first one was the amount of physical pain that I was struggling with back then. There were so many pains in my body that I was struggling with. It was insane. So I had lower back pain because I was sitting down for long hours for work. I had right shoulder pain, my elbow, my wrist, because I was working online, so I was spending a lot of time in front of screen. My eyes were irritated most of the time. I had migraines most of the days. Pain in my right shoulder was so bad to the degree that after I finished work, I would not even be able to hold a spoon in my hand to feed myself. So I had to actually do that with my left hand. My right knee hurt so much to the degree that if I'm going upstairs, I would hear a cluck, sound in my right knee, and it was so painful. And on top of all of this, I had acid reflux. The acid reflux was so bad to the extent that if I'm sleeping on my back at night, I would start coughing because fluid would start, the acidity of fluid, it would start going up through my throat. And so I would start coughing. So I had to, literally, I had to, wake up and sit down, start coughing. And then I could either only sleep on my right side or my left side, but never on my back. All of that it put me in such a terrible mental state because I was like, I'm too young to have all of this amount of pain in my body. There has to be something. And I remember back then I started going to doctors, and all of them, they would start, giving me painkillers and all of that. I was like, no, 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 no. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life on painkillers. There has to be something better that I could do. Now, the other thing that made things worse and that actually brought me to the worst moment of my entire life was the heartbreak that I was having at that time. So on top of being alone in a different country, not speaking the language, having all of this, physical pain that I just described, yeah, the person that we were going to get engaged to be married, yeah, he just broke up with me, and it was painful. It was the most painful moment of my entire life. And I remember I got so frustrated and so fed up of feeling that way that I got on my knees and I started crying. I broke down in tears in the middle of the night. I remember it was winter. And of course, in Ukraine, winter is very, very harsh. It's very cold, snow everywhere. The only two colors you could see the entire, time in winter are white and gray, basically. And this is different from where I come from. So all of these things made the heartbreak even worse. So I got on my knees and I started crying. And in the middle of crying, I started praying. And I said, God, please, there has to be a way out. Someone somewhere in this world must have gone through all of these. And there has to be answers. This person found the answers to all of these, problems and challenges that I was going through. And so that means that I could too. So what I did is that I decided that I'm going to find the answers. I said to myself, okay, well, I don't know exactly what kinds of answers I'm looking for here. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do to get out of this place where nothing in my life was working, basically. And I don't know in which direction, what action, but what I know is that I'm going to keep on it and keep looking for these answers until something starts working for me. So what I did is I started going online, watching YouTube videos, reading books, reading articles. I did so much research, and what I did is that what I found is that, well, the first thing that I realized, and that was a belief that I had before, is that the emotions that I have in my life are so important to my physical health and what I create in my life. That was something that I was quite sure of. And so I thought to myself, well, there has to be a way in which I could start living in a much better state, mentally and emotionally. And that means that over time, my body is going to catch up. So I was watching one of the videos on YouTube. It was a podcast, I think. And then on the side, I saw a video of Dr. Wayne Dyer. And so I clicked on the video, and in it he was giving a talk in one of the live events that he had back then. And in that talk, he started telling the story of a woman called Anita Morijani, who had a near-death experience that actually healed her from stage 4 cancer. So he told the story. He said how much he was inspired by her story and how personally it affected him. And he actually had the physical copy of the book, and he gave it to one of the people in the audience. And of course, he encouraged the audience to go out and and read more and read her book. She actually wrote a book called "Dying to Be Me." I don't know why I got so excited about this story and that book. And I was like, I think I might find something right there. So I went out, find a book, read the entire book in one day. And I started to realize that, oh my God. So in the book, she said that she believes the reason she got cancer in the first place was how she felt about herself consistently since she was a child. And she recalled a number of her life experiences that made her feel inferior, unworthy, not enough, and how she was most of the time trying to prove the opposite of that. She was working hard. She was trying to have a big career, but she still felt that she was disappointing her parents and her family. So she believed that her emotional state over time created this disease in her body. So when she came back, she started talking more about the idea of self-acceptance, self-compassion, self-love. So I thought to myself, okay, well, her story resonated so much with me. But then I thought to myself, well, okay, so now I know the approach. Now I know the philosophy behind this. But how can I get myself to feel good about myself and to have that as a consistent state from which I could live my life daily? And of course, what do I do when I have a question like that? I went out and I kept digging until I came across meditation, and I started reading more about meditation. Well, honestly, first I started meditating. I found like one of these videos on YouTube, and I started meditating, just relaxing music, nothing more. And then I started doing a bit of breathing techniques, and then I found myself excited about learning more about the science behind meditation. So I did that. I started reading about the science behind meditation and some of the research that backs up the idea of how meditation helped so many people um, transform their physical body from, major diseases, things like cancer, Alzheimer, and things like that. So I was like, okay, well, if those people could heal cancer through meditation, then, my lower back pain, my shoulder pain, my acid reflux is nothing compared to that. So I started reading more, and more importantly, I promised myself that I was going to meditate every single day, no matter what. And that the only reason that I don't do my meditation on any given day is if I'm dead. That's it. If I'm alive, I'm going to do my meditation. I promised myself that, and I kept my promise. So since January 2019 until today, I haven't missed a day, not a single day. I meditate every day, and I can't tell you how valuable that one habit has had on my life in every area. Well, first of all of the pain that I was complaining about, that I was having before, it was all gone without one single pill or medication, not one. Before I meditated, I was having also other problems with my emotions, with how I feel consistently on every, like on a daily basis. All of that changed with meditation. And also when it comes to heartbreak, meditation, I think what really served me the most is that meditation became the outlet for all the emotions that I feel. And that's why like after you do that for, quite some time, you start to feel that you're light physically, you're light, you're energetically light. And the reason is because, like, when we meditate consistently, you don't keep that inner charge that is created by emotions, like anger, like sadness, frustration, disappointment. We don't keep this energy stuck inside of us anymore. We just feel it, allow it, and let it go. This is one of the values of meditation. Also, meditation, it helps us become more aware of our own thoughts, feelings, and actions. The good thing about meditation is that it helps create regulation in our nervous system. This means that we are not living from a state of fear, from a state of anxiety on a daily basis. We are living in a state of calm and quiet, which means that our nervous system can optimize itself to take care of our physical body. Now, if a problem happens, of course, what do? Most of us react, and that's okay. But we don't live by this reaction. We don't carry it, letting it live with us for days, weeks, and months until it starts to change the wiring. And of course, this affects our physical body. The other thing about meditation is that it helps us become aware. So anytime during the day we start reacting in a way that we don't like, we start reacting from a place of fear, which means that we could say or do things that we regret later. We become aware in our meditation. We start to see ourselves objectively, which means that we are more likely to self-correct the next time we do something similar. So we could also rehearse our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. This is priceless. And when we relate this to the context of heartbreak, especially for women who are anxiously attached, I realized that I spent most of my life living in a state of anxiety. And of course, when you are in a state of anxiety, I don't know if you can relate to this, but you're constantly, reacting from fear. Yes, and then time goes by, and then you start to regret what you said. You start to regret, how you behaved, how you acted. You go like, oh my God, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. You start to say and do things that you're not proud of. Why? Because you're reacting from a place of fear. But when you meditate, you start to have more self-composure. So you're more capable of calming yourself down, taking a breath, and knowing what to say and what to do. And you are responding from a place of confidence rather than reacting from a place of fear. The other thing that also that comes with and one of the valuable things about meditation is that it helps us create this sense of safety, not only emotional safety but physical safety, because emotions actually live in our bodies. You know what I realize is that we could have, there are so many experiences in the past that I didn't even remember. But what I realize is that the emotion that I felt during that time when I was having that experience, it lived in my body before I started doing the meditations. And the accumulation of the emotional charge that was created back then, it got stored in different centers of energy in my body. And that over time manifested as the different kinds of pains that I was struggling with back then. So what I learned is that our emotions don't leave until we allow ourselves to feel them and then release them. We can't run away from pain. We can't run away from struggle. We cannot run away from anger, from frustration, from sadness. All we can do is allow it, feel it, and then release it. And this happens during meditation. It is not a logical process. You could understand all of this theoretically, logically, but then when it's time, when you are under pressure, when you are stressed, when you are going through a heartbreak, if that's what you're going through, just like I did, you start doing things that you're not proud of. You start reacting from a place of panic. You say things, you do things. Your heart is broken. You think that you're losing someone who's valuable. You're not. You're just losing someone who you have been addicted to because you are relating to that person from a place of fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, a need for validation, for someone to accept you, for you to believe that you are enough. All of these things are not true. All of these things are not true. And we realize that this is not true when we create this state of safety inside of our bodies. So we feel it physically, we feel it emotionally, and that's when you realize, oh, I don't need another human being to make me feel safe. I feel safe. And then when I'm a true representation of this state, the person who is the equivalent to this is going to come into my life. And then we can co-create a life, a partnership together where he's feeling safe, I'm feeling safe, and then we are getting into a partnership where we complement each other, and we also make sure that we are making each other feel safe, seen, and supported in relationship. You no longer continue to relate from a place of pain. You start to love from a place of fullness, of self-confidence, and knowing your self-worth. I really hope that I somehow convinced you from sharing my experience in this video how meditation could be one of the most valuable, if not the single most valuable habit that you can start to do in your life, especially if you're going through heartbreak, and especially if you're someone who's anxiously attached. Which, by the way, if you are going through heartbreak right now, I want you to know that there is a process that we can do to heal ourselves, not only to heal from heartbreak, but to go from anxious to securely attached. If you found this video helpful and this is something that you relate to, you can click the link that you find in the description below to book a discovery session to see if we could work together. Take care of yourself, and I'll catch you in our next video. Bye for now.